Hello everyone, welcome to Brain Blitz Audios. Today in this episode of JEE Main, we'll be looking at previous year questions of mathematics asked in engineering entrance exams in India. Today, we're dealing with the topic sets, relations, and functions. So this chapter deals with representation of sets of quantities, the relations between sets, and special relations which we call functions with respect to variables such as x and y. So today we're back with another set of 5 important questions, and we hope you find this episode interesting. So stay tuned and watch the entire episode. We'll have a really important question in the end with some important tricks that you should keep in mind. So having said that, here comes our first question. Find the domain of the definition of the function fx equals 3 by 4 minus x squared plus log to the base 10 x cubed minus x. So you need to find the domain of this function. This question was asked in 2003, and this question involves splitting the function into two other functions. So this function f of x has 3 by 4 minus x squared added to log to the base 10 x cubed minus x. Now let's consider g of x as 3 by 4 minus x squared. So in this particular function, you notice that when x equals 2 or x equals minus 2, the denominator becomes 0, and anything divided by 0 is not defined. So you can write the domain of g of x as the set of real numbers minus the elements minus 2 and 2. So this is the domain of the first part of f of x. The second part of f of x, that is log to the base 10 x cubed minus x, can be written down as h of x. So h of x can be written down as log to the base 10 x cubed minus x. Now, when you're studying logarithm, one of the important quantities that you will know is the value of log 0. So log to the base 10, 0 is actually not defined. So therefore, if x cubed minus x ever becomes 0 or negative, its value will not be defined, so it will not have a proper domain. So therefore, since there is a log function here, x cubed minus x must always be greater than 0. And from here you can take x outside, so x times x squared minus 1 is greater than 0. X squared minus 1 is similar to a squared minus b squared, which we can split as x plus 1 times x minus 1, which is greater than 0. So from here you will get x is greater than 0, or x is greater than minus 1, and x is greater than 1. So you get all of these values. So therefore you can write that the x belongs to the set, the interval minus 1 to 0, open interval minus 1 to 0, union open interval 1 to infinity. So x is greater than 0 and x is greater than minus 1, so therefore one of the intervals is the open interval minus 1 to 0, and it is added with the interval open interval 1 to infinity in order to show the actual domain. So now the original function f of x can be written down as g of x plus h of x. So the domain of g of x is set of real numbers minus the elements minus 2 to 2, and the domain of h of x is open interval minus 1 to 0, union open interval 1 to infinity. So therefore the domain of f of x can be written down as, when you take the intersection of both these domains, you will get open interval minus 1 to 0, union open interval 1 to 2, since 2 is not possible in g of x, and then union with open interval 2 to infinity. So therefore, this expression gives you the correct domain of the definition of f of x. So if you look at the question once again, you will notice that option C is the correct option. Now, the reason why option C is correct is we take the intersection of the two functions which are added together to form f of x. So the intersection of those domains will give you the actual domain of the entire function. Now let's look at this question. F is a function from R to R, satisfies the condition that f of x plus y equals f of x plus f of y. This is possible for all x or y belongs to R, and we're also given the value of f of 1, which is equal to 7. You need to find the summation of f of r from 1 to n. So the summation of f of r for n terms is given by which expression? This question was asked in 2003, and this question uses arithmetic progression as we move along the question. So f is a relation from R to R such that f of x plus y equals f of x plus f of y for all x and y belonging to R, and f of 1 is equal to 7. Now, if we consider x equals y equals 0, then you can say that the value of f of 0 plus 0 is equal to f of 0 plus f of 0, which is equal to 1 times f of 0. That is equal to 0. The function when x equals 0 is equal to 0. So when x and y are equal to, both are equal to 0, then f of 0 can be considered as 0. But now what we're going to do is we're going to take x equals 1 and y equals 0. So therefore what you get is f of 1 plus 0. Then according to the given condition, it will be f of 1 plus f of 0. F of 0 is 0 and f of 1 is 7 as given in the question. So therefore the value of f of 1 plus 0 is equal to f of 1. Now what happens if x and y are both equal to 1? So you get f of 1 plus 1, that is f of 2, which we can write as f of 1 plus f of 1. So that can be written as 2 times of f of 1. So that is 2 times of 7. So when x equals 1 and y equals 2, or x equals 2 and y equals 1, you get f of 1 plus 2 can be written down as f of 1 plus f of 2. So f of 1 plus 2 times f of 1. So that is equal to 3 times f of 1, which is equal to 3 times of 7. So on putting values of x and y, you'll notice that all of these values are equal to a multiple of 7, and that multiple increases in an arithmetic progression. So generally what you get is the summation of r equals 1 to n. F of r can be written down as f of 1 plus f of 2 plus f of 3 plus etc. until f of n. So all the functions contain 7 and then multiplied with 1, 2, 3, etc. So it's 7 times the arithmetic sum 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus etc. plus n. So the sum of the first n digits is represented in arithmetic progression as n times n plus 1 divided by 2. So therefore 7 times n into n plus 1 by 2 is the correct answer. And if you look at our question, you can see that option C, which shows 7n times n plus 1 by 2, is the right answer. So in this question, we put in the values of f of 0, then f of 1, and then by alternating values of x and y, you can see that all of the functions have 7 multiplied to them. So you can take the common sum as a multiple of 7, and then the sum was equal to the sum of the first 10 natural numbers. So therefore, the value of sigma r is equal to 1 to n f of r is 7n times n plus 1 divided by 2. This is the next question. Let R be the relation 1, 3, 4, 2, 2, 4, 2, 3, and 3, 1. This is a relation on the set A, 1, 2, 3, 4. You need to find out the relation is either not symmetric, is it transitive, is it a function, or is it reflexive. So therefore, in this question, each element of set A do not have an element of set B, so therefore this is not a function. So option C is incorrect. Now to prove what kind of relation is it? Is it symmetric? Is it reflexive? Is it transitive? Let's start solving it. So the relation R is given as 1, 3, 4, 2, 2, 4, 2, 3, 3, 1. And the set A is 1, 2, 3, 4. So for a relation to be reflexive, you need to have the condition that A, A belongs to R. But in this case, if A is equal to 1, then 1, 1 does not belong to R. So therefore, R is not reflexive. So option D can be incorrect. So option D is considered to be incorrect. Now what about symmetric? For a relation to be symmetric, A, B belongs to R implies that B, A also belongs to R. So in this case, some terms are symmetric. However, there is one term which is not symmetric. 2, 3 belongs to R, but the term 3, 2 does not belong to the relation R. So therefore, R is not symmetric. Now what about transitive? For a relation to be transitive, A, B belongs to R and B, C belongs to R implies that A, C must also belong to R. In this case, 1, 3 belongs to R and 3, 1 belongs to R. But 1, 1, this term is not belonging to the relation R. So therefore, R is not transitive. So therefore, what we've proved is that the relation R is neither reflexive, nor symmetric, nor transitive, and this relation is not a function. So the most appropriate option among the four is option A, which is not symmetric. Since it's not symmetric, not reflexive, and not transitive, what we can do is we can take option A to be true because it is the most appropriate option among the four. This question was asked in 2004 and it is a very important question, not because of the fact that you have to solve a lot, but because you need to find out the most appropriate option among the following. Let's look at this question. The question involves permutations as well. So this question was asked in 2004 and it states, the range of the function f of x equals 7 minus x p x minus 3 is. So we have four sets. We need to find which of these sets represents the range of this function. So how do we find the range of the function? First step is to find the domain. So the function is 7 minus x permuted with x minus 3 defined for all x belongs to natural numbers, because in permutations you never use you never use integers, rational numbers, fractions, etc. So therefore it is limited to natural and whole numbers. So x always belongs to n, so you can say that 7 minus x is always greater than 0, because you never permute something in 0. So you do not have 0 terms and then you ask people to permute something from it. So for example, if I have two pens, you can arrange them differently, but if I have no pens, then I cannot arrange anything. So therefore permutation does not have 0 at the top left corner. The top left corner of P does not have 0 at any cost. So 7 minus x is always greater than 0. So therefore 7 is always greater than x. That means x is always less than 7. Now x minus 3. Now suppose you have two pens and you have to arrange them in one possible combination, then you can write, say, 2p1. If you do not want to arrange them in any way, however, you can write it as 2p0 as well. So x minus 3, this part of the permutation can be equal to 0. So x minus 3 can be greater than or equal to 0. So therefore you can write x minus 3 is greater than or equal to 0, so x is greater than or equal to 3. And then finally, if you have, say, two pens and you need to do a permutation among them, you can either do 2p0, that means you take them as they are. 2p1 means you arrange them in one way, and 2p2 means you arrange them in two different ways, but that is equal to 0, so it's a different matter. So in all the three permutations, you notice that the value of x minus 3 is either less than or equal to 7 minus x. So therefore that is the third relation here. So you can take 2x is less than or equal to 10. That means x is less than or equal to 5. So therefore x is less than 7, x is greater than or equal to 3, and x is less than or equal to 5 implies that the values of x are 3, 4, and 5. So now let's plug in the values of x for the given function. The given function f of x is equal to 7 minus x p of x minus 3. So for f of 3, the value will be 7 minus 3 p 3 minus 3. That will be 4 p0. So if there are no permutation, so if you're not permuting the 4 pens in any way, then the value of 4p0 is equal to 1. You'll study this function in detail when you're studying permutations and combinations. And now you have f of 4, so the value of x is 4. So 7 minus 4, p 4 minus 3, that will be equal to 3p1. So so if you have 3 number of pens and they're permuted once, that means you have one permutation among them, so the value will be 3. Again, more details of this in the chapter permutations and combinations. F of 5, that means when the function is at x equals 5, you have 7 minus 5 p 5 minus 3, that is equal to 2p2. So 2p2 can be taken as the value 2. So the range of the given function is equal to the set 1, 2, and 3. So therefore, if you look at the given question, then option C, the set 1, 2, and 3, is the correct option. So we use the laws of permutation and combination here. For more of our lectures and videos on permutation and combination, you can always click the playlist in the description down below. This is the final question of this episode. If f is a function from R to S, defined by fx equals sine x minus root 3 cos x plus 1, and this function is an onto function, so therefore you need to give the interval of the set S. So the set S belongs to the interval, and the interval is one among the 4 options. The question was asked in 2004. So in this question, notice that fx is onto. So now we consider f of x to be equal to g of x plus 1, where g of x can be written down as sine x minus root 3 cos x. So sine of x minus root 3 cos x can be written down as 2 times sine of, 2 times, and then inside the bracket it's 1 by 2 times sine x minus root 3 by 2 times cos x. So 2 times sine pi by 6, it's actually cos pi by 3 sine x minus sine pi by 3 cos x. So g of x can be written down as 2 times sine of x minus pi by 3, which is x minus 60. So we use the formula sine of a minus b equals cos a sine b minus sine a cos b. So sine a cos b minus cos a sine b. So therefore, you get the value of g of x as 2 times sine of x minus 60 degrees. Now therefore, you can write down minus 2 is less than or equal to 2 sine x minus 60 degrees less than or equal to 2. So that means for f of x, you will have plus 1 added to all of the 3 sides. So therefore, it will be minus 1 less than or equal to 2 sine x minus 60 degrees plus 1 less than or equal to 3. So the interval can be written down as closed interval minus 1 to 3, because it can be equal to minus 1 or equal to 3. So therefore, both these edges are also included. So this is a closed interval. So therefore, you can write option D, closed interval minus 1 to 3, as the correct option for this question, which is asked in 2004. So in this question, we used a little bit of trigonometry. What we did is that we took sine x minus root 3 cos x as a separate function, that is g of x, and then we multiplied and divided the whole function by 2, so that made it suitable for us to use a trigonometric formula, that is sine of a minus b, which can be written as sine a cos b minus cos a sine b. So using that formula, we got sine of a minus b, and then we took the interval for which that function comes, and we added plus 1 to the interval, the edges of the interval, and that gave us the closed interval minus 1 to 3 as the correct answer. So that's all, folks, about this episode of JEE Main. For more of our videos, don't forget to click the link in the description down below. And for watching more of our useful and interesting content, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, which is Brain Blitz Audio. So until the next episode, take care, stay safe, bye bye for now.